Welcome to this episode of Final Cut Pro tutorial. In this episode, we will talk about particular tools which you will need to enhance your edit. At this particular stage, you are almost at the point of a rough cut. That is, you have assembled your shots and you know that this is going to be my structure. Now, you need to correct your cuts, you need to add effects, and you may need to add transitions. So for that, we will see how FCP can help you. To start with, we will begin with the snap tool. This is the area where we have the tool called snapping. Snapping is like a magnet. When you have 2-3 clips placed one after the other, and you may need to move the clips around left or right of your timeline. In that case, if we look into the timeline, if I have this clip here and the snapping tool is on, this is the on sign when it shows green. Now if the snapping tool is on, I can select the clip and I take it near the other clip. It automatically fits into the position. If the snapping tool is not on, that is, it's in the off mode, now this is in the off mode, and now if I want to move the clip, it won't snap to the other clip, and I may leave a gap here, or it can overwrite the other clip. So it's always advised to have the snapping tool on. Another thing which is important in this case is the link selection tool. The link selection tool is placed here. This is now in the off mode. If I click it, it will become on. Now if I select a particular clip, say I only want the video to go from this place to this place. If the selection tool is on, I can not do that because it's linked with the audio track. If I switch it off, I can select the video clip only and I can take it to some other place. If you want the audio track to be in sync with your video track always, then switch the link selection button on like this. Now you have reached a point where you have almost finalized your selection of shots. Now maybe you want to finalize your cut points. In this kind of a scenario, if you go to the edit, say for example, I have done an edit here. I have just put the shots together and I have a shot where a lady is sitting and she moves and calls somebody. This is obviously a bad edit because the continuity is not matching. The action of that lady, of her looking behind, is not matching and it's getting repeated. I don't want that. I want to make a normal match cut. In that case, I can take the help of the trim edit tool. What I do is I just double click on the cut. I go to the cut point and I double click on the cut. As soon as I do it, it opens the trim edit window. The trim edit window gives me the last frame of shot 1 and the first frame of shot 2. If I select both, this is the selection tool. I see a green bar here and I see a green bar here, which means that both the shots are selected. So if I want to change the cut point, I will select both the shots together, and if I press the arrow key, it will change the cut. See, I am adding frames on this shot and I am simultaneously deleting frames from this shot. Okay, so like this I can change the cut point. But in this particular edit, I do not want to do that. What I want to do is I want to delete a few frames from a particular shot and match it with the previous shot. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. In this case, say for example, the lady is looking to the front and here she has already turned her head. So let's select this shot. Let's select shot 1 and with the arrow key I start deleting frames. See, the shot B is constant at this point, and I delete frames and I get her to the point where the action almost matches with her action here. If I select this shot and with the arrow key, I can just start at a point where she starts moving her head. Okay, now if I want to see how the shot works, I can click on the preview button. So if I do a preview edit here, pretty nice. When I select shot B, the green bar glows over shot B. The green bar on shot A disappears. This means that I'm only going to work on shot B. Now if I change the cut point, I press the arrow key left and right, it will only change shot B. The same thing happens in case of shot A. If I select shot A, the green bar appears above shot A. And if I change with my arrow keys, it's only going to change my cut point on shot B. Now, once the edit is done, if I just click on the timeline here, it will remove the trim edit window and I come to the timeline. Now, if you are satisfied with your cut point, now let's see what you can do more with your edit. Here, we have two shots placed one after the other, and I have a normal cut. In case I do not want a normal cut, I can have transitions here. In this case, if I go to the cut point and say, for example, I want to dissolve into the next shot, I select the cut point and I go to the Effects tab on your browser window. I click on the Effects tab and I select a dissolve filter. Let's select a cross dissolve filter. I click on the filter and I drag and drop it on the cut point and leave it. If I play it back, it will dissolve to the next shot. If I want a slower dissolve, I can stretch the transition effect to the point I want the dissolve to happen. Now I go to the point here and now I have a slower dissolve. If I want to do it with numbers, that is, if I want a specific 2 seconds cross dissolve or a 3 seconds cross dissolve, I can also do it with numbers. In that case, I select the transition effect, I right click on this and I click on duration. Here, this is the duration that I have done, which is 5 seconds and 2 frames. If I want it as 3 seconds, I just type 3 and 00. This becomes a 3-second transition between these two shots. If I don't want this transition here, I just select the transition and select delete. Let's see another variety of transition which is quite popular in films, which is a wipe. If I want to do a wipe, there's a folder called a wipe. I click on wipe and there are a number of wipe options. I can select anything I want. Let's select a clock wipe. I select, I do the same thing, I take it onto the cut point and I stretch it to the point I want this transition to go on. And I play it. This is a wipe. If I want to do a little tweaking with the settings of these transitions, I can double click on the transition and these are my settings for the transition effect. Say this is I'm working on a clock wipe. So if I want to change the starting position, the starting angle, I can change it. If I want to change the direction of the clock wipe, that is, if I want a counterclockwise direction or a clockwise direction, I can choose it here. If I want a border, I can even add a border. I can even change the color of that particular border. If I want to feather the edges, I can do it here. So let's see the effect. If I have these manipulations made, let's see the effect. Now, can you see the border? Here, I have the border here. But strangely, when I play back, I don't see the effect. Don't worry, this requires rendering. If you render the transition effect that you have done, you will get your border in place. Another effect that is quite popular in video editing is the dip to color effect. Now I have the same shot and I want to get this shot to either black or white, and then the second shot appears. So if I have this transition, if I have this cut point, let's select the cut point and I go to the effects tab. Under dissolve, I'll find there's a dip to color transition. I click on this and I drag it and drop it at the cut point. This is a dip to color effect. This is fading to black because the color that is chosen here is black. If I want to change this color, I can change this color to any color I want, say yellow. I want to change this to yellow. I click on OK, and now if I play the timeline, it will dip to yellow and the second shot appears. I can change this to any color I want. If I want to do a fade out, I can even choose this particular transition effect on a shot which ends at a particular point. Let's see here. If I want a fade out, I can choose this transition effect and use this as a fade out option. I have a shot here and it fades out. After transitions, I will show you how to use filters on shots. That is, if I want to do something with the shot, I can use filters, and the filters are also placed in the same effects tab. Under effects tab, you will find there are folders which are called video transitions, video filters, and video generators. Under video filters, if I open this folder, I'll get a host of filters here. Obviously, if you are working on a Final Cut Pro software, you won't get the filters that you see here because these are third parties plugins. But I'll show you what you will get in a normal FCP software. Let's go to the perspective folder. Here I have a filter. Let's say I want to work with the flop filter. If I want to use this filter, I just click on this filter and drag it on the shot. That is, I take it here and I leave it. This immediately falls on the shot. This is a flop effect, this filter reverses the shot horizontally. Now if I double click on this shot and I go to the filters tab here on the source monitor, I will get the filter as flop. If I want a vertical flip, I can also do it. If I want both vertical and horizontal flip, I can also do it. Okay, so this is my original shot, which looks something like this, and with the flop filter, with a horizontal flop filter, this will look like this. So if you have issues with 180 degree, if you have issues where the look of the character is not matching with your counter shot, then you can use this filter to save your edit. Other filters like color correction filter and chroma key filters are also available within this tab. Regarding color correction and chroma keying, we'll see how to do it in our upcoming lectures. There are certain other things under the video folder like a timecode generator and a timecode reader. These two tools are very important in case you are sending your edit for an assessment or you want the timecode to be generated on the image. If I use the timecode reader here, I can simply select and take it onto this shot, and I will have the timecode on my image. This will help me to locate my shot later on some other platform if I at all need to do it. If I want To generate a new timecode here, I can also do it with a timecode generator. That is, I want to start with a particular number and want to end at a particular number. I can use this timecode generator filter quite efficiently for that purpose. There are a lot of other filters available on FCP. You can check and you can use all these filters if it goes well with your edit. It's the same operation. You just click on that particular filter, drag it and drop it on the shot that you want the filter to work on. If you want to change the settings of that particular filter, just double click on that shot and this opens the filter tab for you. You can change the settings according to your necessity and there it goes. You render the file and with the filter, the shot is ready for your edit. If you do not want to open the trim edit to change the cut points, you can also do it directly on the timeline. For that, you need the roll tool. The roll tool is the fourth tool from the top. This is your roll tool. When you select the roll tool, you have to come to the cut point where you actually want the change to happen. Now, it's like the trim function. You click here and drag the cut whichever direction you want. So, if I want the cut here, I drag it and I leave the mouse click here. See, automatically the cut changes. So, I do not have the cut here as before and I have the cut later. This is the roll edit function. Now, another interesting tool is the slip tool. This is called the slip tool. If I select this, I have to come to a shot. The slip tool, if I click on this, see, the two windows that I get are the first frame and the last frame of the shot that I have selected. If I leave the slip tool here, if I leave this, the window will go. On the left hand side, you have the first frame of the shot and on the right, you have the last frame of the shot. Now, if I drag the mouse to my left, what am I actually doing is, I am deleting frames on my left and I am adding frames on my right. But the interesting thing is, the duration of the shot, if it's 10 seconds, it's going to stay as 10 seconds. That is the function of a slip tool. So if I want to change a particular shot, not in terms of duration, but in terms of the in point and the out point, I can use the slip tool. When you're putting effects on your timeline, now the very popular effect is speed change. If I want a shot to play slow or if I want a shot to play faster than normal, I can do it directly on the timeline. To do it, I select the shot which I want to change. Say for example, this is my shot. Now I want to change the speed of this shot. I do a right click and I click on change speed. As soon as I do it, here this is normal. When it shows 100%, it is actually normal speed. Now if I want to make it slower by say 50%, I want it at half the speed. So in rate, I'll type 50 and I click on OK. Now if I play back this shot, see, this has become a slow-mo shot. Similarly, if I right click and I make it 200%, this shot will become a fast shot. Obviously, the duration of these shots will change. Other options in speed change are the reverse, a fast reverse or a slow reverse. In that case, you go to the clip, right click, and there's a button called reverse here. You just click on this and this becomes 200% reversed. So it will be a fast clip but playing on the reverse mode. I click on OK and let's see the effect. Maybe for the shot you can't make out that it's a reverse shot, but it's actually playing backwards. Similarly, if I want a slow-mo reverse, I do the same thing, but in the rate block I type, say for example 30, and it's still red, which means that it's going to play backwards. I click on OK. This becomes a slow-mo shot and a reverse shot. There are cases in which you have the duration of the timeline fixed. Say in case of this timeline, I have a fixed gap here, and I want to fit in a particular shot within that gap. That is, the time is limited. Say for example, I have only 5 seconds. So how do I decide what is going to be the speed of that shot so that it fits into that 5 seconds? It's difficult. It would be some decimal numbers. So in that case, you have an option called fit to fill. Here, let's go to the shot which I want to place here. Let's say for example this shot. I want to fit this particular duration. Let's take a random duration like this, in and out. Say this is 8 seconds 22 frames, and if I go to the timeline and I measure the gap, it's 3 seconds 12 frames. So what I need to do is I need to fit in my 8 seconds clip onto a 3 seconds timeline. In that case, the option that I need to select is a fit to fill option. The easiest way to do it is select the in and out point on the timeline, select the in and out point on your rush, that is the source clip, take this clip, go to the sequence monitor and go to fit to fill. Just drop it here. This automatically fits in the clip within the short gap. So now if I play, obviously this would be a fast clip. If the gap is longer than the source clip, then it will become a slow motion clip. With FCP7, there is an upgrade given where you can use the fit to fill option, or you can actually change the speed of any shot with a particular tool. The tool is here within the slip tool function. If you click on this small arrow to the right, it opens up 3 options. One is this called the speed tool. Click on this and this is your speed tool. Now say for example, this is a shot. Let's take a normal shot here. And I want to speed this up, but I want to do it on the timeline. So I click on the speed tool and I simply drag it here. Now this becomes a faster clip. Now if I want to slow it down, I can do this and this slows down the clip. So in case I want to fit to fill within this gap with this particular shot, I will drag it here and drag it on this side. This will make this shot fit within the gap that I showed you. That's it for this episode of Final Cut Pro. In the coming lectures, we are going to talk about advanced effects and how to deal with audio effects and so on.